This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
Good morning. It's now time for our cooking segment. We're live from Kelly's Furniture in the kitchen with Alana Preussner. And this morning we are going to make pasta with butternut squash with blue cheese and pine nuts.
I mean, it's got all the basic food groups. You really can't beat it.
It sounds delicious.
We're starting with butternut squash, one of the wonderful winter squashes. These are available. I got this little beauty at the farmer's market. They're all over the stores. They're marvelous. We're also using a special ingredient, which is smoked paprika. I got this at my fancy store in Boulder. Get a little whiff of that. It smells really wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't happen to have smoked paprika, you can use the regular stuff plus a little liquid smoke, but frankly, I think it's worth looking for smoked paprika. What I've got in here is half of a great big onion. The full recipe for this dish is on the internet. I'm doing just half because, folks, this makes a vat of stuff, and it's a little hard to handle. So this is half of a great big onion. I've cooked it in olive oil. We put in some smoked paprika, and now we're putting in some cubed up butternut squash. And this is a meatless dish in case you're trying to cut back on meat. This does have some fat in it, obviously. And what we're going to do is add some water, a tad bit of salt, using my super fancy shaker here, and a little bit of blue cheese. I'll add that later. We've got also a little bit of unsalted butter. You've got to watch the salt content. Can you hear me,
Sure.
Scott? You've got to watch the salt content in this dish because the blue cheese is salty. So you don't want to over salt it. Now, we're going to let this go for about 10 minutes or so. And basically the squash is going to steam really nicely. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's work on some herbs. And Scott, this is some sage from my garden. And what we're going to do, if you're classically French, we're going to chiffonade it. But if you're not, we're going to cut it into little ribbons. So just slice it up.
Watch your finger.
I know, right? I have a bad track record when it comes to handling knives in the morning.
Well, as long as we don't get, finger protein in there, we're doing fine.
Sparky, if I scream to go away to the next shot, be ready.
All right, meanwhile, what we're going to do is cook some pasta. And any kind of large, sort of beefy pasta is fine for this recipe. I like rigatoni. I think it's perfect. I have some in the microwave. Scott, you want to grab that for me, please? Basically, anything that's not flabby and too little. So orzo would be great, but, it's just too little. So rigatoni, like this, big, beefy noodles. Or pappardelle, which is like big fat noodles, or some really excellent fettuccine, something on that order, would be really, really good. Okay, so what we're going to do here is just mind our squash
Oh, it smells
for a while.
amazing.
Isn't that nice? And think about all the benefits that these beautiful bright orange vegetables.
It's got a real fall color to it.
It does, doesn't it? Well, I color coordinate with what I'm cooking. That way, if I mess all over myself, you can't see it.
There you go.
I consider any food that lands on my jacket a snack for later. So basically, we're going to let this steam while our pasta cooks. And then we're going to add our other ingredients to it. Now, here's a really great trick I learned from Lydia Bastianich, on the Italian-American cooking show. Save your pasta water. So when you cook your pasta, think about it. It's starchy. You're cooking it in salted water until it's al dente. So this pasta is undercooked. You do not want to overcook that or the squash because they'll turn to mush. They'll still taste great. They will not have a good shape, right? But when you drain your pasta, save out about a cup and a half, whatever, just save out some of that water because it's not now just water, it's starchy water. And it has the power to thicken your sauce.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's a good random tip.
Yeah, so basically, you save out some pasta water, and what we're going to do eventually, when this is all nicely cooked, through the magic of television, we're going to say this is nicely cooked, is we mix in our pasta and some crumbled up blue cheese. This is soft blue cheese. You
That's
can buy it
amazing.
however you want, but I crumble this up with my very own hands.
It's a lot of blue cheese.
Yeah,
delicious.
it's not too much, Ella. It's just about
Facing
not
my
enough,
fears.
in my
I'm
opinion.
facing
couple
my
of
fears.
It's
That's
a couple
right.
of ounces per vat.
Okay.
This is not bad. All right, and we
About a
also
minute left or so.
we have got
Pine nuts.
plenty of time here. We've got pine nuts. I'm going to wait till the very last minute to add those.
Okay.
Pine nuts, you buy them in a little package, and they're usually raw. They're fine the way they are.
Okay.
But what
you don't have to do anything special to
put
them.
put them in a dry frying pan.
Okay.
No oil, and just keep tossing them or stirring them with a wooden spoon until you get them nice and golden.
Okay.
It'll take about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
And then put them out on a plate and let them cool off. Because otherwise, if you are like me, tempted to pop one in your mouth, you will burn your tongue very badly.
Right.
Because they've got a lot of oil in them.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're going to add the pine nuts to our mix. Going to add, it looks as though it could use a little bit more, doesn't it? See, there's not much sauce on it.
Right, so that's
Pasta water, magic elixir. And we mix that in. We also mix in, for those of you alcohol fans in the crowd, marsala. This is a very aromatic, flavorful wine that's often used for like aperitifs or after dinner drinks. And it just adds a really delicious flavor.
Okay.
This is just a couple of tablespoons.
Okay.
And then we're going to let this kind of marry for a
Okay.
little while, and we'll be ready to serve.
Perfect. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're live from Kelly's Furniture in the kitchen with Alana, who just showed us how to make pasta with butternut squash and blue cheese with some pine nuts.
Absolutely. What we've done once it's all finished, and really this doesn't take a whole long time to cook. It takes a lot of time in prep. So it's one of those laborious recipes that's really easy. So once you get it all put together, though, it makes a lovely dish looking like this. And I've simply garnished it with a little bit of extra pine nuts and blue cheese that I held out. And what do you think, Ella? Just a little bit of smoked paprika on top.
That looks
Perfect.
so beautiful.
Just because it's so pretty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we always say we eat first with our eyes, right?
Right.
So it ought to be pretty. And we can try this. As you can see, I've tried really hard to make sure the pasta is not overcooked. If
You said it'd get too mushy.
yeah,
and-
if your package directions say cook it for 12 to 13 minutes, cook it for 10. Just undercook it a little bit because it'll finish in the sauce. And it makes this really lovely dish.
That's amazing.
That's really good.
It's just squash and pasta. Well, plus some other lovely fatty ingredients.
I'm a big fan of acorn squash and
That's
banana
right.
butternut squash. And a great meal if you really like those.
Absolutely.
This is really good.
Absolutely. I think you could probably substitute acorn squash for this. Butternut squash is great because it's beautiful and also it holds its shape really nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you could use pumpkin too.
Fantastic.
A lovely fall thing to make. Hit the farmer's market.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll post the recipe on our website at heartlandconnection.com. Just make sure you click on the Good Morning Heartland tab at the top of the homepage. Scroll down to our recipes. Thank you so much, Alana, for coming on.
My very great pleasure.
And thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you today at the parade as well as tomorrow in Keosauqua.
That's right.
We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you right back here Monday morning at 5:30 a.m.